We are back at it again. I'm not wasting any time here, taking off the headphones, obviously taking off the pump cover. How we looking? Decent? I don't know. We got how's the light? Not too bad. Feeling good off this deload, almost wrapping up on the first week. But you guys are here for the biological squat. What are you talking about, Uncle Rami? What the hell is a biological squat? Basically, a squat that is hyperfunctional, that you're probably aware of, but I know you aren't prioritizing it in the routine the way we all should be. And that's including myself. I should be putting this movement into the routine, and I'll tell you what the answer is. You ready? You ready for the answer? Zercher squats. And it's because it's all encompassing. Like a lot of people, when they do Zerchers, they like to have a rack and that way they can pull up on it. I actually prefer it being on the ground because then I have to do a deadlift prior to actually getting into the squat. And I know most people would say, dude, that's not optimal if I'm just trying to focus on quads. If that's you, focus on machine work. Hack squats do great. But what I like to do is I like to encompass all of these parts into one training program. Real strength, talking about real strength, muscle growth, mobility, the ability to get into new ranges of motion, but also be strong through those longer ranges. A lot of people ask me, do you stretch? I do not stretch whatsoever, and I haven't sniffed at an injury in a very long time, which tells me probably doing something decently right because I used to get injured all the time. I don't know if you guys can see that. That big scar was me blowing out my knee. Completely blew out my knee top to bottom. ACL complete tear, meniscus complete tear, LCL, MCL, partially PCL, destroyed my knee. And so after then, prior to then, I never did legs, keep in mind. So I was like, all right, probably should start hitting legs a little bit more than I actually am, which is 0. So I decided, I was like, all right, let's get into leg training. And then as I started doing it, I would still kind of sniff at injuries. I still felt a little bit clunky. You know, like especially if you grow up playing sports, you're used to your body moving a certain way. But as you put on more weight and more muscle, you have to learn how to use that properly, right? Especially if you're not playing sports while putting on the muscle. Starts to almost, you have to learn your body again, the biomechanics of how my body prefers to move, what positions do I prefer being in. But what I love about the Zercher is it almost figures all this stuff out for you, the way your feet are supposed to be planted, how you should be lifting up. And obviously Zerchers aren't something to do if you're a complete beginner and decide, hey, I'm gonna go throw, I don't know, 225, 315 on the bar and try to lift this sucker up. Completely stupid to do it this way. Should not be done that way. Cannot believe I forgot this, boys. I forgot to tuck in. If you're new here, that's what we do because we're gentlemen. And as gentlemen, you keep the undershirt tucked. Plus, I'm a man of tradition, right? Class. That's how we have to do it. Nonetheless, let's get right into it. I'll show you guys how I like to set up my Zerchers, especially when you're just kind of getting started. But this is something to instill into the routine. Maybe not in the very first thing you do. I personally prioritize something like front squats, back squats, some sort of squat variation, although Zerchers are technically squatting. I wouldn't have that be my centerpiece starting off. And on the back end, as you get stronger, then you can kind of prioritize and be like, I want to move up the weight. But anyways, you guys aren't here to hear me just blibber babble. I got you. It's game time, boys. All right, boys. It is absolutely game time. So I completely forgot I don't have my mic still. It's stopped at customs. God knows, I just want the damn adapter. That way I don't have to scream, but forces the energy to come up. It's time to show some damn enthusiasm because we're here for Zerchers. I love Zerchers, man. Plus, they're a lot more fun than just regular squatting. They're great. The way I like to get started is I'll go shoulder width apart, and you'll have to figure this out because look, I'm going to get my elbows, or I don't know, like that nook thing I'm talking about. What you want to do is kind of get your feet into position. In the beginning, if you're a beginner, you have to learn how to actually even get into this position. Even if this is the workout itself, congratulations, you found your step 1. Then step 2 is kind of progressing from there. But for those of you that don't have an issue with this, right, you can kind of get on down, get it in the nook. It's gonna feel uncomfortable like the first time you back squatted, right? You'll callus kind of your skin to where it's not as painful. Get them under like this. And what I do is I like to shoot out my hips. So the way that's gonna kind of look is I kind of come down like this, and then I shoot up like that, and then I kind of come all the way across, just like that. Literally, that is the pattern. I know it's a little bit difficult with the setup to be able to see how I'm doing it. But I'm shooting out my hips from there, just like that. Just shoot them on up. Compacted all the way in. Shoot up. And then I let my head follow. That's the deadlift, but that's not the squat itself. The squat itself now, you've gotten it up. And that's why a lot of people use racks, is for one reason. It's easier to set up. But easier doesn't mean better. What I'll do when I kind of come down here, like I notice my feet, for example, I don't like their positioning. I don't want to squat like that. So I know I have to widen my stance. And that's what I mean. You'll naturally figure out your natural feet patterns. Because now look, I can literally rest it right there. That feels pretty good to me. And now I come up. Drop it. You don't have to do pauses. You can do pauses if it's more comfortable. And then I shoot up. And I try not to flare out my feet too much either. I like to try to keep them decently straight. Rest them down. And now this is where the set begins. It's a little bit light. Bump up the weight a little bit so I can show you guys a proper set. That's the beauty of having the basement, right? The dungeon, I can just start tossing things. You know, I'm gonna go a little bit heavier than normal so you guys can actually see what a hard set kind of looks like. But like I said in the beginning, it's all gonna be hard regardless, right? No need to rush that process because you just progress. Hell of a sound. Come on, man. The one thing I will say is like, these will get you out of breath. They force your whole body to operate. Obviously, you're holding position. You're having to stay tight. So you're getting some free bicep activation on a leg day. Sign me up. And then from there, think about it. You're having to just maintain position. Your core has to stay engaged and strong. It's such an all-encompassing exercise that also puts your body in a safe position. It's actually very natural. I call it the biological squat for a reason. Your body naturally, you can feel it, like it wants to kind of go that way. And one thing I'll tell you is you're going to have a hell of a quad pump afterwards as well. And you're going to feel great mobility-wise, you know? So let me lock it in. I want to get some music going. I want to show you guys a real set and kind of what it looks like. Feet out wide, baby. Yep, adjust, game time. And I'm not like going isolation, like move that sucker. Oh. Come on, man. That's what a real set looks like. Whew. Bah. Wow. That's a hell of a set. That felt real good, actually. Almost forgot you guys were there for a second. And I'm thinking about doing that on more videos so you guys can actually see what my sets actually look like. I know you guys have talked about wanting to see a full workout from me personally. And by the way, I did a leg day earlier. It was excruciating. Oh my goodness. Because like I said, I'm running this new program. And I kid you not, it's so grueling, but it's exactly what I need. It's forcing a level of output out of me, not in terms of numbers or whatever, but like certain exercises that I've stayed away from over the years to just confront them, which is great. And so it's kind of forcing me to kind of get back into it. And one thing I'll show you guys, here's a little cool snippet. There's this thing called I don't know if it's a physiological sigh or psych or whatever. Some guy in the army taught me it, and all it is you breathe in through your nose to calm your breath. And it lowers your heart rate. Pretty cool, actually, now that you think about it, even though I still sound like I'm pretty out of breath, but it's because I am. But I will tell you, with like a squat like that, your whole body, it's very energy expensive. It's metabolically very expensive. And it's because head to toe, you're having to brace your core, keep it tight. And on top of it, you're just driving through your quads. And then obviously to set it up, you have to do the deadlift. And I think movements like this, although, you know, like the fitness world now is so into isolation, like anything else, there's a time and place for it. That doesn't mean you neglect anything that's not isolation. Is this going to perfect my muscle growth? Especially as a young dude, your job is to empty the energy clip. Trying as many different things as possible. Obviously, don't have squirrel brain, you know, like there's common sense to it. But if there's something you want to try it, run it for 4 weeks. I don't like it. Perfect, now you know. But the point of it is you want to take your body to its limit. That's the game. And then as a result, your mind has to go to its limit. That is, in my opinion, a way better way to be. Otherwise, you're just going to be super fragile. Your job is to try to become as resilient as possible. No matter what gets thrown on my plate, I know I'm good because I got me. That is a philosophy I've completely bought into, and I haven't regretted it since the day I've actually just walked into becoming that guy. And I know we're talking about Zerchers and the biological squat. How did we arrive here? This is what you get with this channel. I just tend to just say whatever's on my mind. But it's because I see people avoid movements like this as a result of worrying is this completely optimal. Optimal, first off, is dependent on your goals. If you're trying to be a bodybuilder, different ballgame. Like you want to be on the big stage, there's probably a certain rhyme and reason to doing things. But I'm not that guy. I'm just trying to be a physical specimen. I want to be as strong as humanly possible. I want to jump as high as I possibly can. I want to run fast. I want to have an aesthetic body. I want to have low levels of body fat. But why do I want all these things? It's because it forces my mind to go to that place. What I do in here sets me up for outside in the real world. This is a tool. I use physical training as a tool to mold my mind the way I want it to. Truthfully. And that's why I work out a very, very specific way. In a way that most people find, I don't know, a bit controversial. They're like, you shouldn't be doing that, and that's not true. And everything I tell you guys has been vetted out by me and clients that I've coached. And when I see that basically all of us have come to the same conclusion, like I said, it also depends on your goals. But if your goal is to have no holes in your game and to be almost elite in all of these areas, that to me is everything I'm after. But regardless, start throwing the biological squat into your routine. You don't have to like start it off and go as heavy as you want. Like start light and progress. Just start playing with it because it's really tough to emulate a movement like that. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching this, and I hope this is well worth your time. If there's anything you guys are looking for specifically, drop it down in the comments, and if people like those comments, give those a thumbs up, and that way I know to make a video on it. As always, I love y'all, man. Uncle Rami out. Peace.